so much.
I don't know what the fuck that's gonna involve.
What? Oh my god.
Hello and welcome to the LMA Book Club, where I am finally going to read We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad. I read Bunny earlier this year and loved it, and I happened to time it very well to the sequel coming out this fall, and this is a book that I don't really think was necessary after the end of Bunny, but I'm not mad about, another book with these characters because I thought it was a great time. There are a few other booktubers that I follow and watch that have read this, and I know that they have done reviews of it, and I have not watched them yet. I figured it would be fun to do that in this video as well. I will read this book and tell you my thoughts about it, and then we will watch some other booktubers' thoughts on it as well. I know that Kayla at Books and Lala has read this, Blaine Christopher at Blaine's Book Club, and then there's also Marta, the book slayer. I might stay up tonight and read this because my sleep schedule at the moment is very off, and we have a thing this week that I need to get up really early for. I'm already tired and it's like 5 o'clock, so we'll see how that goes, but I think I'm gonna have to give that a try. I don't expect to finish this today or even tonight, but I will take you along and give you any updates along the way about my thoughts, and then we'll see what I think of it when I finished, and also what Blaine and Marta and Kayla think of it. In the first book, Bunny, we follow Samantha, who is joining a creative writing program, and in her class it's just her and 4 other girls who all call each other Bunny and act very cutesy. They have something weird going on, and eventually Samantha is drawn into their group and some weird stuff happens. We Love You Bunny takes place a couple of years after the first book. Samantha has published a book since then, and the bunnies are not happy about how they were portrayed in her book. So they have now kidnapped Samantha so that she will have to hear their side of the story. We also get another perspective in this book, which we will get into. This video will contain some semi-spoilers. The first part of this video is spoiler-free, but then as we get into my review and then the other booktubers' thoughts on the book, there might be discussions of things that you don't want to know before reading the book. So I recommend watching this if you have read the book yourself, if you don't mind spoilers, or if you have no intention of reading this book at all and just want the juicy details. Okay, so I read the prologue, and I think I like it so far. I think that was a good place to start, and it made me more intrigued, and it seems like we're getting some backstory, so I don't know how I feel about that. I would prefer something moving forward, but we'll see how that goes. I don't think the writing is flawless, but I think it works in the voice that it's written, so yeah, I'm trying to keep an open mind so far and not be so critical. Just I enjoy being back in this setting and with these characters, like I said, so yeah, so far so good. It's now Wednesday, and it's the day of our early thing that I needed to reset my sleep schedule for. I don't really have a lot to do when I get there for periods of time, so I figured I would bring my book and read some there. I made it about 200 pages into the book on my all-nighter, so that was really good, and I need to get going, so let's do that. Now it's pitch black out, apparently. I've read about, 30, 40 pages maybe. There have been many parts where I have laughed because it's funny in a brutal and kind of absurd way. But there's the book is divided in 2 parts, and this part that I'm at right now, which is part 2, is very long, and I'm not sure I'm that interested all the time. I'm interested in the basic premise of this part, but There's so many like sidetracks, I feel like, or like, I don't know, maybe they will serve a purpose or like make a point later. Like for parts of it, I find it great and I'm just reading and not thinking about the fact that I'm reading, and then after a while I'll be a little bit bored and I'm like, oh my god, when is this gonna be over? I think we are about to be done for the day soon, so we're gonna pack up and go home, and hopefully I can read a bit more this evening. I've now finished We Love You Bunny, and I don't know how to feel. Overall, I really enjoyed parts of this. I think there were parts that reminded me a lot of the first book, Bunny, with this like fever dream kind of sense and the focus on female friendship. It also had the same kind of like ridiculous brutality, like really brutal things that are written very like satirically, or you know, just they're just funny. And then there were parts that dragged, that felt so repetitive and slow, and things were too long. Part 1 of the book is focusing on the bunnies, and we're getting more of their backstory and more of their dynamics like within the friend group, which I loved. I thought that was really interesting. And then we get to the second part, which is where we get the perspective of Aries, which is the first bunny that they create, or like the first man that they create. And that was really funny in parts, but then it was so long. And I feel like the reason for reading these books are not to be in the head of a man. I wanted to be in the head of the bunnies. I wanted to hear their stories and get their perspectives. That's what I wanted. Like, I didn't really need or want anything at all, but like if we're gonna get a sequel and it's gonna be from the bunnies' perspective, I want it to be from the bunnies' perspective, like the girl bunnies. And then I got like 150 pages in the head of a man bunny. Bunny man. Parts of that were really funny, and sometimes the little like frowny face and the happy face, like, I don't know, just the way that he expresses himself was funny sometimes, and there were moments when I was like laughing out loud. It just got to be a lot of the same thing, and just him walking around and like finding himself in very similar situations, and something exciting would happen and it would be funny again, and then it would just like go back to this lull. There was very little of the part that's going on in the present, like this whole thing where they have kidnapped Samantha. There's no plot line there. She's just kidnapped and listening to all of this backstory. I'm not really sure if I enjoyed the parts that I enjoyed because they are the same storyline that we got in Bunny, or if this is bringing something new. Like, am I just enjoying the revisiting the same thing again, or am I enjoying new things? I do think that the first part was showing a lot of interesting things about the girl bunnies. I enjoyed like the thing about like finding a friend at university, and like you're just connecting so hard because you don't want to be alone. I think it's a very common thing and a very human thing, and I liked the exploration of that. I also really liked like the reverse thing. In the first book, we're made to think that the bunnies are very ridiculous and over the top and very annoying, and when I started reading this, I was just like kind of feeling bad for having thought that of them because of everything that they are going through, and like they're people too. Like they're also women and girls, and they go through things that all women go through, and so criticizing the bunnies felt very like anti-feminist. Like, why am I being so hard on them for being girls, you know? The bunnies were given a bit more individuality and like a little bit more character. They're very sort of stereotypical, which I think can be a bad thing, or like it can be a bit flat, but I think it worked in this case because it was just like showcasing different kinds of women that are all considered wrong. No matter how you behave and show up in the world as a woman, you're going to be criticized. So in this one, we have the cutesy girly one, we have the witch, we have the androgynous one, and then the mysterious one. Oh, and then also Samantha, of course, who is the one who was agreeing with a man, so that makes her evil, and she's also probably sleeping with him, which is like the ultimate betrayal. So there's just like, yeah, there's no right way to be a woman. To be accepted and liked by all is just impossible. And as for female friendship, like just to mention some things that I noted, there's this like competition for being the center of attention within the friend group. There's like agreeing for the sake of agreeing, just to like not be pushed out of the group. Like, I'm the same as you. I agree with everything you say, and like no one is standing up for their own opinion. Everybody just wants to be very agreeable. And then there's the part where it's like these are 4 girls, and so 2 of them are best friends, and then that sort of shifts and one of them becomes better friends with another girl in the group. And so that whole thing with like which pair is the BFF pair, like the shift of that and the jealousy that causes, and like I don't know, I thought that was really interesting, because that was also very relatable. There was a lot of references to sex and to like genitals and a lot of that kind of language and a lot of that kind of thinking going on, and just like I don't think I need to hold this up the whole time. There's also this like discussion about creativity, and like there's like metaphor, it feels like, with the bunnies, and they're like running away, and like is that them chasing their creativity and like chasing this like dream book and story that they're going to write, and like the amazing writing, is that the bunnies running away? And like there's just so much like symbolism in the story, but then it didn't feel like they were desperate for that creativity. It just felt like they were desperate for men, which also like fine, but that really wasn't what I was hoping to read about. I also felt like the author was inserting herself in the story, or like there were parts where I was like, is this her trying to say something? She's a teacher in creative writing as well, and she's writing about these students, like specifically when it was from the teacher's perspective, like Ursula, the creative writing teacher in the story, was talking about her students and like how stupid they were. It was just like, are you trying to make some kind of a point? I'm not really sure. And also I felt like, oh my god, the main point that was annoying was this whole thing about Samantha having written a book and that book being Bunny. That annoyed me to no end. Like, why? That also made it feel like the author was inserting herself in the story and like trying to rectify something. Like, no, you all misunderstood Bunny and this is what I meant, and like trying to twist it into something new. Or is this like the bunnies and all of that and the creativity running away and like not being able to repeat this first amazing bunny? Is that Awad saying she can't write a book as good as Bunny again? And it was all very like meta. It just felt like a lot of layers, and I'm not really sure I was interested in that. I just wanted the story. I want to be entertained when I'm reading a book. I don't want to think about the author and like her experience or like what's going on in her head. I just want the story. I want the story to stand on its own and be interesting and engaging and entertaining in itself. I can definitely respect the author, and if that's what she's doing, like fine, it's her choice and she can write whatever she wants. That just wasn't what I wanted to read. I wanted to read more about the bunnies and be entertained and have a fun and interesting and engaging story. I don't want to feel like I have to analyze the book to understand what the point of it is and like find some hidden meaning and like what the real message is. And like, no, it's really about, I don't care. I just want an interesting story that I am entertained by. The ending was also a bit weird. I did like the implication of it, but it was also like, what was that? Why did we go on this whole journey for that to be the end?
Now the time has come to see what everyone else has to say about this book. And by everyone, I mean Kayla, Marta, and Blaine Christopher, if they liked or disliked the same things that I picked up on. Let's start with Blaine Christopher and see how they liked it.
Oh, Bunny, you're so popular. You got a sequel, a prequel, a sequel, prequel, Bunny. This video will contain a lot of quotes from the book because, Bunny, I want to support my critiques, please. That's my Bunny voice. Do you like it? Mona Awad took us on this wild fairy tale that is satirical of art conservatories and these kind of pretentious academic institutions. And once I started reading it with that mindset, boom, I was in. I loved it. That being said, a couple days ago when I started We love you, Bunny. I went in with that mindset. I was like, I'm not going to judge the characters for speaking the way they do. The style of writing is a critique. It's satirical. It's fun. That's not going to throw me off when I start reading it. But unfortunately, I was wrong. Okay, so this book was broken up into 5 parts. And here's how that went for me. Part 1, sad face. Part 2, smiley face. Part 3, sad face. Part 4, smiley face. Part 5, smiley face. And that's my review. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Just kidding, Bunny. But shockingly, the parts that had the sad face next to it, those parts belonged to our favorite campy villains, the bunnies. Those are the chapters I will be critiquing today.
What? That is the complete opposite of my ratings of the parts. I really enjoyed the parts with the bunnies, and the parts with Aries were sad face. Like, not entirely, but like if I had to choose. Okay.
2 and 4, which focus on Arius's perspective, completely saved this book for me. It's a new story. I was laughing out loud. I was moved emotionally. I was connected emotionally. And more importantly, entertained. And not checking the page number every 5 seconds to see when the section would end. Okay.
Kind of the same experience I had. It's just I had that for the other parts. Or like I thought Arius's chapters or like parts were entertaining as well, and I thought they were funny and emotional, and I liked him as a character eventually. It just dragged. It was just too long. I would have preferred those sections to be like interspersed and like going back and forth like chapter by chapter, and not have like 200 pages in a chunk with just Arius' perspective. I was missing the bunnies.
I'm being a little harsh, but let me explain. Like on page 123, which was still part 1, the Duchess says, I don't normally notice men, married as I am to the sea, which is so fucking funny. I loved on page 127 when the Duchess discovers Arius in the garden. When I saw those bare feet, my heart sank. Oh, a homeless. And later on the page, go, I told myself, leave this man before he notices you, or you, and tries to steal or eat your crystals. I love it. It's so a homeless. Like, what? In chapter 5, which is in Creepy Doll's point of view, Ursula refers to the bunnies as an all-female cohort. I'm actually fluid, Vic said, stiffening. And I'm non-conforming, Elsinore said. Beyond the binary, me too. Coraline whispered, totally non-conforming. Liar, I thought. She fucking screamed conforming from every cell. But I mumbled, me too, also so non-conforming. And I think it's poking at performative queerness, which admittedly is a dangerous line. I love that Mona Awad isn't afraid to comment on those types of artists that use different identities and different cultures and races even to help portray this certain image of what kind of artist they are, or cash in on other people's life experiences. I don't think we should ever accuse real people of faking being non-binary or queer or whatever it might be. But I like that Mona Awad was able to showcase its existence in these artistic spaces. As a non-binary person, I definitely see the performativeness by some people within artistic spaces that is very difficult to call out or even comment on, because you never really truly know, and you always want to be respectful of everyone. I love on page 77 when she says, so very 5-star Alice in Wonderland, which I feel like is Awad nodding at the Goodreads reviews of her first book. And it's things she does like that that feels very meta and clever that I really appreciate. But
Okay. Yes, very good point about the non-binary and the queerness and the performative things. I didn't pick up on that as strongly, but I do remember that scene in the book and everyone being like, yeah, me too, me too. So yeah, I very much appreciate that commentary. I'm very interested to see what Blaine is going to say about the meta-ness and the author inserting herself, because I can appreciate it, but I just thought it was a bit heavy-handed in parts, but I'm very curious to see what they have to say.
A lot of these chapters felt very repetitive, and like Awad wasn't trusting me as a reader to envision the setting and action, which, you know, an argument that it's purposeful can be made, but even if it is purposeful, doesn't mean I like it. Like, they mention Sam being tied up with an axe to her throat, like, maybe 1,000,000 times.
I don't really mind that being repeated in itself, but I more was like, why is there nothing else happening? Like, there was nothing else to say in those chapters, so having that reminder that, oh yeah, this is what the story is, kind of, I don't know if that was even necessary. I think this could have been like its own book without that kidnap scenario, because nothing happened in that. Okay, moving on.
And it was said so many times, I audibly groaned. I was texting my friend being like, I don't like it. And then part 2 happens. We finally start getting into the story. Apparently, a lot of people did not like the repetitiveness of the smiley face and frowny face in Marius's chapters. And, you know, admittedly, it took a second for me as well to get used to. But
honestly, that happy face and the frowny face, I thought that added to the story. Sometimes it was a bit much, but like there was a point where I had to have the audiobook to like help me move forward, and with the audiobook it was a little bit like frowny face, happy face, frowny face, frowny face, frowny face. But like in the book it's just a little tiny symbol. I didn't really word that out in my head when I was reading the physical book. So I didn't mind, and I also think that there were a lot of times where that added comedy. Like, oh, it was the wrong Alan, frowny face. That's funny.
it was really funny and at times really cute. My favorite moment being before I killed him with axe, sad face. Arius's innocence and his POV of the world was endlessly entertaining and was definitely a big reason why this book got 3 stars from me. That and
I agree, it was very entertaining in parts. Yeah, too long.
I really liked how the book ends, which feel free
No! The ending is the only reason why Samantha had to be kidnapped at all. Like, I feel like the whole kidnap scenario is only to have the opportunity to have the ending be what it is. It serves no other purpose at all.
But at the end of the day, I had a lot of fun with this book. See you next week.
I think that speaks to like the duality of this book and how you're probably gonna love some sections and others not so much. But then like maybe depending on your own experience and perspective, you might enjoy certain parts more than others. I think it's very interesting that we both had like favorite parts, but they're just complete opposites. Like everything that I didn't like, Blaine liked, and vice versa. And so yeah, that's very interesting. Let's move on to Marta the Bookslayer and see what she has to say.
Hello and welcome to today's reading vlog where I will be reading new releases. First one that I'll be reading is actually a sequel to Bunny. I thought this was a fun read. It's such a girly pop book. That's the best way I can describe it, with it having that kind of element and horror and creepiness. And basically, We Love You Bunny is the sequel where all the bunnies get together again with our main character Samantha years after the events of the first book. I think it'll go by fairly quickly because I am excited for this one. So I'm about 30% in, and right now it goes through, oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. It goes through the bunnies and their perspective of what happened in the first book and how things kind of shook out. And basically it's a prequel. I love the bunnies as characters. I think they're so fascinating. They're so just funny to listen to. The audiobook narration of them is just so great. And at the 30% mark, going into part 2, you like meet a new character.
Okay, that's very interesting that she's also liking the bunnies. I'm very curious to see how Marta likes Arius' part. I want a cat too.
I finished We Love You Bunny. I struggled with the new point of view that was added randomly in this book. A lot of the mystery of the first book was just like over-explained, where like it took away the charm of what Bunny was. So I feel like it took away from Bunny. I feel like it was an unnecessary sequel. I think maybe people that were huge fans of the first book are gonna be excited by this one, but to me, it just did too much. Like it over-explained too much and it took away from the joy of Bunny. So honestly, I gave it like 1 star. I struggle with Mona's writing.
That's harsh. 1 star. I do agree though with what she's saying about over-explaining it. It's like explaining a magic trick and like then the magic is gone, and the magic of Bunny is that you're not always sure how or why or what even happened because it's like that weird kind of a book. Definitely see her point.
I struggle with Mona's writing a little bit, and why? It had potential and then it kind of fell. So that was We Love You, Bunny. Kind of a flop.
Yeah, that's harsh. Let's see what Kayla at Books and Lala thinks of this.
I started We Love You, Bunny. I can already tell you this is not gonna be for me. I'm 50 pages in and it's going through, I think, each of the bunnies' perspectives and like how they originally met and like the origin of calling each other bunny and like...
So is it like bunny rabbits, or is it Playboy bunnies, or is it bunny people?
Yeah, it's kind of just going on and on already, and I'm only 50 pages in, but I'll see you after dinner.
Okay, that's interesting that like the first 50 pages, I don't think that sort of dragged on and on, but I do think it's a little bit of what Marta was saying about like over-explaining it and like taking some of the magic out of the first book and like explaining why they call each other Bunny. And like, I thought that was very interesting and I wanted to find out the backstory and the origin story and like their backstories.
I cannot express to you, but I will try, how much I want to read this book. I want to read it because this is a part of my legacy here on BookTube. Not only did I spend $35 on it, but I bought the audiobook because I was like, the audiobook, that will help me get through maybe just this beginning portion that I can't stand. The audiobook is worse. At least this section.
Okay, I love this so much because everyone has completely different experiences of everything. Like, no one likes the same things. I thought the audiobook was fine. I think I started listening to it during like one of the parts with Arius, and so I didn't get the bunnies' voices until later, and so by then I was already into it. Like, you know, I don't know what the first part of the audiobook was like, but when there was narration in like the bunnies' voices, I enjoyed that. I thought that was great. And Marta also liked the audiobook and thought that was like very well done and very well narrated. So it's very interesting that Kayla's like, the audiobook made it worse. That's fascinating. Okay.
Like I said, we're getting these different perspectives. The one that I listened to via audio, the narrator, very talented for sure, but just had the most agitating voice for this character. And I had to turn off the audiobook. The audiobook is 20 hours. I just don't think I can do it. I don't like it. It's like if you just took all of the dialogue from Bunny and you were just listening to the bunnies talk to the other bunnies. And they're like, hey, Bunny, what do you think about this, Bunny? So after I kind of gave up on that, I picked up the audiobook of The Macabre because I don't have it physically. And
So she didn't even read it?
I'm on day 3 or 4 of reading this book. I just hit the like past halfway point. And there was one singular moment in here that made me laugh. I get why Mona Awad would want to do this, give like side characters some moments, and kind of to see how other people were perceiving what was happening before and during the events of Bunny. But I wish at this point, because I just got one scene that was about completely unrelated characters that we didn't know because they are trying to track down who is committing crimes on the campus. They expect to be handed a police sketch of the person who's committing the crimes. And this random group of characters hands it to them and they're like, is this some kind of joke? And they're like, it's not a joke. And maybe you won't think so either when you're murdered, but it looks like a violin with 3 noses. It's an artist sketch. Trent is a cubist. So like even in a deadly scenario at this school, the pretension is really like threaded through absolutely everything, not just the characters we already know. And I wish that she had leaned into that more. I wish it was even more experimental with that. Maybe certain people's parents or random teachers who are witnessing the things happening, because it really is boring. And then it was just announced Mona Awad is doing a third bunny book. I don't know what the fuck that's gonna involve, but whatever.
What? Oh my god. I think that's a really interesting point, that this could have been more about like the other surrounding characters, like especially the teachers. I would love to have at least like a few chapters from their perspectives, even though I don't know if I really liked any of them that much, but like the parts that I struggled with was that it was just like so much of the same thing all at once. Like I'm fine with getting this story, I think. Like, I think it could have been interesting to have this year play out and like hear from more people. The sections were so long. It felt like separate books. It felt like here's a book with bunnies and then here's a book with areas. And I would have liked to jump back and forth a little bit more, just have a bit more variety. And I think that adding in other perspectives as well would have helped even more with that. Like I would have liked at least one chapter from one of the dud bunnies that were just like, yeah, Serengeti. Like that would have been funny, I think, because they were just like so stupid. I'm really wondering what the third book will be, and I'm sure I will read it at some point. So that's a bit annoying.
We're following a male protagonist in like the second third of this, and then we go back to the girls. And I've liked that chunk the most, even though it's still not great.
That's interesting that she's also liking the areas part better than the bunnies part.
The things I loved about Bunny were present and also not present at the same time. The things that were the same, the hive mind, the obsession, the academia of it all, the pretentious school environment, things that weren't necessarily here. The same strange ambiguity of it, the weirdness, the getting to like interpret things yourself, the slowly uncovering of the mystery and what the girls are doing to begin with. And also Samantha's not really in here. Holding it up for you just reminds me of how much I hate this cover. Like it's really in my face now. I think the cover is so cute. Okay. Is hideous. And it's not that I don't think the book is good. I just think it's not for me. It's as if it was written in slow motion. It's like watching a movie in slow motion. But I think it's good for people who want answers, who want their assumptions confirmed in here. The only thing that's changed is the elusiveness of the bunnies. I can't go back now and not know how they started. They're much more human now. And that's just not something I ever needed. It's not plotless, but it is inner monologue for hundreds and hundreds of pages.
I think it is plotless because like all of the plot that there was already in Bunny. So like it's not adding any new plot, and like the whole kidnap scenario thing is nothing is happening. It's just holding her in one place, like literally physically holding her in one place so that they can recount all of the things that happened in the first book. Like nothing, there's no separate plot in this one except for like, you know, in Aries' perspective and all of his adventures. Like that's plot that we didn't get in the first book, but like it doesn't change anything. It doesn't move anything forward because even though we didn't know about it, it still has already happened, if that makes sense.
There is a character we're reading from, happy face emojis in the text, and the audiobook says happy face every line. I don't think it needed to be this long to get across the message that it wanted to. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this.
I also agree that it was way too long. I think that even if you are a person who wants these things, like if you want the answers and you want everything to be explained and you want the kind of prequel and origin story and like all of that laid out very clearly and like removing all of the mystery and the magic and the weirdness of it, I think you're still going to find it to be too long because it's just a lot of the same over and over again, and like a lot of sections that do not provide any answers. They're just again, the happy faces and the frowny faces, I didn't mind that. I think that that was the only way to do it on the audiobook. I don't know how else she would have like said it, and like it was written in the book, so you can't just like remove them from the audiobook. It was just a quick little thing. I didn't mind. That was really interesting. I think this book is very divisive. Obviously, people are gonna have different opinions on it. I just think that it's interesting that none of us loved it, but like we all liked different things and disliked different things. One person loved the audiobook and thought that was like the saving grace, and another one hated the audiobook and thought that made it worse. And the same for the book itself, like which parts we thought were good or adding to the story or dragging. Yeah, this was really interesting. All of the other booktubers and their videos will of course be linked in the description, so make sure to check them out and check out their channels and subscribe to them if you enjoy their content. I do. Also, let me know what you think of this format of video where I read a book and give you my thoughts on it, and also like get other people's thoughts on the book. This was a lot of fun for me to do. I've been thinking of doing this as a series. I think it's very interesting to, just hear what people like and what they don't like and how different that can be. And like, I do enjoy the idea of a book club, and like my channel name is the Element Book Club. But I don't actually have a book club on the channel anymore. I used to, but like it just got a bit much, and I think that this is a way that I can do it without any pressure because it's just me, and you know, I can do this on my own time, like a sneaky little thief in the night. Go and check out what other people are saying about the book without actually having to like do a live show or like have actual conversations with people, because that's scary. This is just my little Incognito Book Club. Let me know what you think of that as a format. And of course, let me know if you have read We Love You Bunny, if you are thinking about reading it, if you're going to read it, what your thoughts are. I am very curious and would love to know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.